Hey y'all. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I don't know why that just does my heart good to greet you in that manner, but anyhow. I'm really excited to be back with you guys. Again, Happy New Year for real. My little tablet trying to die. But yeah, I just wanted to stop in really quickly. First and foremost, because it's been a minute. Secondly, because it is a new year. Happy 2023. Third, just because it's time. It's just time to talk again. And so again, I hope you guys have been well. I hope you started your new year great. I know many people start with a New Year's resolution and all of that. I didn't do that this year. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I start with a little goal, a little goal sheet or something, but I just really wasn't feeling it this year. Like, I don't know. I feel like I already have enough stuff that I'm doing and that I already have my hands to. If anything, I guess my goal is to continue what I've already started and to not grow weary or, stop anything that I've already set in motion. And I really wanted to just ask God, like, what do you want me to do this year? And instead of, hoping that he just helped me fund my own promises that I'm trying to put my hands to with no acknowledgement to maybe what he wants to see out of me this year. So I just kind of took a step back personally just to see, okay, where do you say I am and what do you want produced out of me this year? Which is something I don't think I've actually done before, not intentionally in that manner. I think I've always had good intentions, like most people, with the New Year's resolution, but this ain't that. And so I just chose not to pursue the year this way. I want to accomplish everything that he wants me to accomplish. And I believe that that is what he honestly considers the most productive. And so that honestly leads me right into what I want to talk to you guys about. I've been doing, of course, some reading and studying and, just trying to avail myself even the more on a consistent daily basis, just allotting intentional time, like a time frame every single day, almost like an appointment or, whatever you make a top priority that does not get interrupted by anything or anyone. I'm sorry if I'm messing with this little nose ring. I got a new one, y'all. It's got a little dangle something. I'm thinking something in my nose, but it's not. Anyhow. But I've been trying to make sure that those appointments are not interrupted or intersected by anything or anyone, just to show God even the more how important he is in my life, how much I just want to make sure he understands and can see the validity of what I mean, and not just what I say, but in actually what I'm choosing to do with the time that I have in a 24-hour time span. And so as I've been doing that, I keep getting this glimpse or this vision or just the recanted story of Abraham in Genesis chapter 18, where he is sitting by the entrance of his tent door, or of course it's the doorway, the entrance of his tent. Like literally 5 or 6 times I've just been getting glimpses of Abraham sitting at the entrance of his tent, and he's waiting with anticipation for God to come and visit him. Every single time I see this, I almost start weeping. Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I can't? First of all, I wasn't there when it happened. But just in my visual, that comes to mind, it's like I can almost see it or imagine it. I've read it a few times, but not enough for it to just be locked in my brain like that. So I know that it's a God thing for sure, him just trying to communicate to me something of very much importance concerning Abraham sitting at the entrance of this tent. So eventually, of course, I start talking to God about it. I'm like, okay, what is up? Because I'm like overwhelmed by this image, this thought, this idea. And I can't say that I completely understand it. And so he began to reveal it to me the way that he intended for me to understand it. And so that's what I was going to share with you guys. So when I went back and read it, Genesis chapter 18, I brought my little tablet to talk to y'all today, so I'm going to be paraphrasing. I'm going to tell you exactly what it says in the KJV. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre. He sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted his eyes and looked up, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door. Before I even got that far, I immediately realized that these are 2 separate accounts. It starts by saying that he was at the beginning of that entrance. He was at the entrance of that tent door, and God visited him. Then he looked up and saw 3 men coming. So those are 2 separate visitations. And I was like, okay. So the fact that he was at the entrance of his tent door, I don't know about y'all, but if you've ever had mail that you're anticipating, a package that you know is coming, some money, especially tax time, y'all know how I get around April and so forth, you make sure you clock in that mailbox. Like, you're waiting and you're looking and you're anticipating, and typically that would be the entrance or the doorway of your home. And so God likened it for me to extreme anticipation, waiting for the arrival of something. And that was a posture of Abraham, even in that moment when he was sitting at that tent entrance. He was waiting for God to come and visit him. He was simply waiting for the presence of God to come and visit him. And because of that expectation, because of this time that he had already allotted to God and so forth, he came just as he was expecting him to come. But after his presence came is when the 3 messengers came. And of course, we know the story from there is when they came and, he fed them and washed their feet and stood and waited for them to speak and to deliver the message that the Lord wanted for Abraham to have concerning, the promises and so forth that he and Sarah would acquire. So it started with him simply anticipating God's arrival, God's presence, a visitation from God himself. And after that, after he had acknowledged that and made a way for that, it was only then that I can allow my messengers to come. Now I can allow them to come, and I know that he's prepared to receive the message that I have for them. Verse 4, let a little water, I pray you, be fetched and wash your feet. So he washes their feet. Of course, they've journeyed far, and he wants to acknowledge that they have something for him. To wash someone's feet acknowledges that they have traveled either to you or you're blessing them in their going, right? And so, because you can't get anywhere without your feet, even if you're traveling by some other form of transportation, you still have to acknowledge that feet provoke movement. Feet invoke you being able to get wherever you're going or whatever. And so him washing their feet was the gratitude of the messenger being sent. Not judging the package, not judging whether your name has weight to it, not judging whether or not I'm going to receive it based on how the person looks, not judging whether or not I'm going to receive it based on your reputation in the community, the title, the surname, the this, the that we pick and choose whether or not we want to receive a message from God's servants, because we do that. Honestly, I've been handled in that manner before because I didn't necessarily have the biggest title in a particular community, or because I wasn't known like the next man, or because this, that, and the third, or whatever. Certain things that I may have released to a person wasn't really received, or it was a little apprehensive in whether or not that person wanted to acknowledge the God that was in what I was saying, that his presence preceded anything that I had already said. And this is the nature of what happened with Abraham. God's presence came first, and then did he send the servants. And because Abraham understood that these men are connected to the presence of God that I'm already familiar with, I'll show it by washing their feet, telling my wife, go ahead and cook up some food, and so forth. So the preparation was already there. What if they got there and these messengers were not greeted as though he knew the presence of God? What if he didn't acknowledge them the same way that he acknowledged God's presence? That's terrible. You literally would have missed the moment that God had prepared for you. What if he didn't have the resources to host them? How are you using your resources? How am I using my resources? The things that are in your hands right now. If someone were to come tomorrow and endorse your vision, endorse your company, and say, hey, the Lord has laid it on my heart that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Can we see the blueprint? Can we sit down and have dinner with you? We're here only for a few more hours. Do you mind showing us what you have? Have you honestly invested what you have back to God's vision that he gave you? Is there anything there, or is it just an empty dream? That's a New Year's resolution. Have you prepared for the visitation and for God's messenger to come and meet you? Are you at the entrance of the tent? And if those answers are no, then I think that leads us right to the things that we may want to add to our New Year's resolution, if anything. to prepare for God's presence, to invoke him with anticipation, and to make sure that we're using our resources to prepare for those messengers to know we're ready for the promise that they honestly released to him and to Sarah. Because as soon as they ate, the only thing that they asked him first was, "Where is your wife?" Front load. And from there, of course, we know everything else is history. So I just wanted to stop in to encourage you. That sparked me like crazy, and that helped me understand why I was weeping and whatever concerning this image or this visual of Abraham just sitting at this tent entrance. I don't want to just wait at my door for some money from IRS in April. I don't want to just wait at my door for Amazon Prime to deliver the package that I know that I ordered. Can I be aware of God's presence sending something? Can I be aware that God is going to meet me at 4:00 on tomorrow because I've allotted this time for him? Am I cognizant that he wants time just like my job wants me to be there at 7:15, and you better clock in, and if it ain't on time, you're going to hear from him? Like, do I have a fear for God in the manner that I fear other things that I think are bringing the resources on and are my very lifeline to succeed, when in reality nothing can surpass his presence? Nothing else gives us life more than simply communing with God himself and his spirit meeting us at the entrance of our door, which is simply availing ourselves to him above anything else. And so that's my little piece for today. It's probably my piece for the rest of January, because that's honestly gonna be my focus, y'all. I'm just gonna get to it. Like, I have to get to his presence by availing myself. And I know that if I do that, I can't lose. If I do that, the messages that he needs deposited into me, the people that need to come find me, I'll be ready, because I won't miss my appointments with him first. And so I love y'all. I won't keep going because it'll just keep going and going. But that's the gist of it. That's it in its entirety. And if you want to go back and read that story, it's Genesis 18, and it's pretty much that chapter, and maybe even the next one as well. Gets interesting to me, at least. But I love you guys. Bless you. All that jazz. Get to whatever your promises are, and do not forsake God's presence. See you soon.